And live from the Scheinfeld Center Innovator Studio at Santa Barbara City College, it's the Enlightened Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Julie Sampson, Director of the Scheinfeld Center, and thank you, everyone, for joining us here to build livelihoods that matter, be your own boss, and make the world an even better place. Your professional network is the bridge to your next professional reality, whether that is launching a business, finding a job or an internship, or applying to a four-year university. And LinkedIn is the top platform for cultivating your professional network. The question, is your LinkedIn networking strategy optimized? Now is the perfect time to find out. And joining us to break it down is entrepreneur, podcaster, author, speaker, and certified professional coach, Javier Llerena. Javier, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy, so excited to be here and provide as much value as I can. Thank you.
Yeah, we're so fortunate to learn from you, and time will go so quickly. So we'll jump right in. To start, let's make sure we're all on the same page. What is a professional network, and why is having one important professionally?
Yes, great question. I think in life, we need support, right? We need support in different areas. And I think your professional network is that support that we all need, right? We all hire a fitness trainer. We all talk to someone to help us with school. Well, I think in a professional environment, it's really good to build your network, right? And there's different ways that you can build your network. And I think LinkedIn is a great point to do it, right?
So what types of people might we include in a professional network? Can you give us some examples?
Yes, great question. So obviously I am more of B2B. And what I mean by that is I am seeking businesses, right, to hire my services. But I think on LinkedIn, you have, depending on your objectives, right? So if you're a student, right, if you're going to apply to for your program, maybe you want to be addressing people from that college. If you are a student that is an entrepreneur and has a startup or a business, right, you are seeking maybe investors, maybe you're seeking customers as well. And if you are a job seeker, right, you're going to be looking for, hiring managers or recruiters to look at you. Or if you're a content provider, right, you're just providing content, then LinkedIn is also a platform as well, because people benefit from the content that you provide, right? So depending on your objectives,
Yeah. Okay, excellent. And then how would you define networking itself? What is networking?
I think networking is, I always think of networking as, instead of what can you do for me, networking is what is the value that I'm going to give to that person before, looking for what are you doing for me, right? So what is the value that I'm providing you so I can build a relationship and you can benefit from that. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to accept the value that you're providing, but some people might, and that's how we build those strong connections, right? So I always tell people, if you want to connect, right, what is the value that you're giving them? What is it that you're providing for them to connect with you, right?
Yeah, that's so important. I love the focus that you emphasize there, that it's about the value that you can provide rather than just what you're trying to get. So often in networking events, it feels like it's the opposite. Like people are like, what can they get from you? So I love that focus. And so you're a seasoned professional. Could you give us an overview of the top strategies that people like you use to advance professionally so that we can get a sense of LinkedIn's potential?
Absolutely. Just recently, the beauty of LinkedIn is digital. So you can change it anytime you want to, right? It's so great because you can, and there's so much real estate, and I will get into it in a little bit, that you can use it to your benefit. But right now, I'm working with mid-level managers So my strategy is to provide as much content to them, right? So obviously you do your research on mid-level managers. What are their pain points? What are they going through that by you providing the content, they can really build their leadership skills, they can manage other individuals better, they can create a better team environment. So I'm concentrating and providing that content for them, right? So I'm trying to build a relationship. So once they build a relationship, once they know me, once they see the content that I'm providing that is really valuable for them, then I engage with them to say, okay, well, I have many offerings to give you, right? Instead of doing what we call a hard sell, like, okay, this is what I have, this is how much it costs. It's more about, hey, get to know me. I think I can solve your pain points, and this is what I have to do.
There are other ways that we can network. What is the advantage of LinkedIn over some of the other networking methods that are out there?
Yes, so I think I lost track, but I think is close to 700 million subscribers to LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn, like any other social networking, but LinkedIn being a more professional network, is really, you can really segment the people there. So just imagine you have a pool of millions and millions of individuals from different backgrounds, from different industries, from different titles, from different interests. You're not going to find that any other social networking environment, right? So, and also another addition to that is the amount of content that LinkedIn provides, right? Any other social network, you know, it's funny how we talk about fake news, right? Any other social network might have those fake news or really content that is not going to really help you. I mean, LinkedIn is a professional network, so a lot of the content there is focused on professional development, right, or career development.
So that kind of gives us an overview of LinkedIn and its potential. But let's take it down to where the students are right now. So what are the top ways that students can benefit from using LinkedIn to build their professional network now and as they advance professionally?
Absolutely. I believe in branding. I believe in personal branding. I think that the thing that is going to make you different than somebody else is your personal branding. And I believe that everybody does uniqueness in any type of school they attend or any job, first job they do. There's some uniqueness, some value that you do different than anybody else. So you can use LinkedIn to really show the value that you have provided. I'm pretty sure that if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure you student, I'm pretty sure you have done some uniqueness in all the classes you have taken, right? I'm pretty sure your first job, you have done a unique value to that. That's what we're gonna take and put it into LinkedIn. So that's how you start. A lot of the students that I have helped, they come to me and say, well, I just graduated from high school. I had a couple jobs. Now I'm going to community college. How in the world, what can I put there? I say, all right, let's go deeper into what you have done for XYZ company that you work for, or the internship that you've done, or the special project you've done, or any clubs that you belong to at school, and what you have provided that is uniqueness that we can translate into the LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, beautiful. So really, this is great time for them to get started with the fundamentals of their profile. And what about beginning to build their network? Should that be a focus at this point as well?
Great question. So I'm going to throw the question back at you. How many students are in Santa Barbara Community College?
I think this semester around 9,000.
9,000. Okay. So you right there have a 9,000 networking pool. So out of those 9,000, I'm pretty sure there is close to 5,000 people that they're alumni that connected. They're already in LinkedIn that you can connect with. So it's very easy for me to say, hey, I attended Santa Barbara Community College. You know, I took this class, maybe you did. that individual is going to connect with you. So we always want to use the companies that you work for or the schools that you attend to start growing your network. Because the more we build our network, the closer we can get connected to the people that we want to talk to. So that's how it works. It's like a spider web, right? So when I see people with 300 connections, no. Oh, well, I don't know anybody else. What school you went to? Oh, I went to, well, how many students are there, right? And how many alumni that you can connect to. So that's how you start building your network of individuals, because most likely, if I know that you attended that college, I'm going to accept your invitation.
Beautiful. Okay. And I think that our total is actually around 13,000 when we look at both online students and face-to-face. So yeah, you're right. It's like a great start, great place to start. So let's get into some nitty-gritty then. So the first step is to get their profile up on LinkedIn, right? And what are the essentials that they should cover without getting totally overwhelmed in the process?
Yes, absolutely. And that's a great question. I look at LinkedIn, your profile is your landing page, right? Not your copy and paste resume. Don't do that. It's your landing page. So think about your landing page. There's a lot of what I call real estate that you can utilize. For example, your header. Don't put a graphic of a nice beach. Who cares? Use it to really deliver your message, right? If you're inspired an entrepreneur and you have an idea, that's a great way to put that, right? So that's an important piece, your header. I think your picture is great, right? I see a lot of people wearing sunglasses. I see people in the beach. I see people with a scuba diving. Really? I mean, that's how you want to show up to your professional network, right? So make sure you have a nice smile, professional, really plain background. So those are things that really attract, because think about it, people are not going to read your entire profile, but they're going to be captured by what they see in the header, what they see in the headlines, what they see in the picture. If you have a pleasant, friendly smile. So those are things to really concentrate. And the last one that I will add is about you, right? A lot of people talk about themselves professionally, how many awards they've done, what was their GPA, if they took honor classes, so on, so on. People want to get to know you. They want to know you. So you got to add that touch of personal connection, right? And we started that conversation, right, today with that, right? Right? So
Yes.
we want to include that in our about. Yeah, include that. Yes. So people get to know you. Say, I want to know more about this person, right? So I always suggest in the workshop that I do is use a narrative and write about you a little bit in your personal and what you're looking for, who are you professionally, and then always a call to action. Right? Like, hey, if you want to connect with me, here's my email address. Right? I think those are very key points. Obviously, like you said, we don't want to overwhelm people, but those will be the first steps. Yeah.
Beautiful. And this ties in with what you said previously, that this is where your personal branding is really coming in. So, having students really understand what is their personal brand and really cultivate that. In fact, I will drop down in the video description our podcast from last week, which was on developing your personal brand. So I think that that's super important to be clear on that, like you're saying. And then the piece that you were referring to, I encourage everybody to look at Javier's LinkedIn profile that we have linked below the video. What he was referring to in my conversation with him, how we started our conversation today, I learned from his LinkedIn profile that he is addicted to wire hair dachshunds, and he has some other pieces of information in there. And that was just such a great way to start the conversation, right? So this is the perfect illustration. Your profile is the perfect illustration about what you're talking about. So everybody be sure to check that out. So are there like three do's and three don'ts, some of the top do's and don'ts of building a profile, given that we have this kind of type focus right here. Any ideas that way?
Yes, obviously it's a professional network. So that's what I say, the image is your professional network as well. Don't use it for any other than that, right? So those are the things. Also, like any other profile that you are building, you need to be active. And thus, I don't want to overwhelm people, but happy to help anybody out there. It's really easy to create content and be active in the social networking environment of the professional way. Don't use it to I see some people using LinkedIn to date. And I see other people replying saying, hey, this is not a dating social network. So don't use it for that. I don't use it politically either. I don't think it's a platform to express your political views, right? I think it's more about providing good content, professional content, connected with people and see the value that you can add to.
Okay, great. Super helpful. Okay, so then next steps, students have their profile up, but what's the best way to get started building their network? You kind of talked about, well, who's available at school and where, what's your next step? Who are the people there? Within that, do you have details that you can provide about, a framework for basic steps and strategies in order to accomplish that?
Absolutely. And that's a great question. And I always ask my clients where you want to go, because we need to define where we're going so we can get there, right? So in LinkedIn, it's the same way. Okay, why, for example, I have what I call avatars or personas I want to connect. I want to connect with mid-level managers, right? That provide me the service of leadership. I want to provide with talent and development individuals. And I want to connect with office managers, believe it or not, right? Because they put together events and workshops. So always think, okay, if I'm here on LinkedIn, who do I want to connect with? Who is my audience? Am I looking for professors, deans? Am I looking for hiring managers for a specific school? Company? Am I trying to connect with individuals that they are angel investors, right? So always think, okay, who do I want to go after? What is going to be my audience? And be very, very specific on your audience, because we get overwhelmed and we want to connect with everybody. Well, we're not going to be able to cater everybody. So what is my niche? What is my particular avatar that I want to connect with, right? So I always ask people, imagine that individual. Who are they? Are they married? Are they single? Do they have kids? Do they do things on the weekend? Right? Because that way you create a vision of what they're looking for.
What are some goals or some metrics would be good to set out? I mean, is it the amount of people that you get into your network, or is it the quality of those connections? What types of goals or metrics do you suggest that students focus on?
I think it's the quality of people that you're connecting with instead of the amount of the people. And then what am I providing to those individuals, right? So for example, last year I had a campaign in connecting with other facilitators and trainers. And my main objective was I needed to connect with people so I can collaborate with people that when I have specific workshops that I run, I need to have a co-facilitator, or I need to have someone helping me design. So I did connect with those people, right? So I built that network of facilitators that I know. Out of that network facilitator, I found a great business partner that we haven't even met in person. We've been doing business since we met virtually. So you can see the trust that we have built through LinkedIn, right? So it depends on what your objectives and what you're getting out of it, right? And then from there, it's like very similar to, I will put an example. You're looking for a position in a company. Well, you list X amount of companies that you're going after. And from there, you connect with the right individuals that are going to connect you, open the door with. What are the results of that, right? Based out of 20, 30, 40, 100 companies that you contacted, what you got out of it, right? And that's how you measure your success, your metrics in LinkedIn, right?
Okay, great. Hey, we have some questions from the audience, so let's give this a go. Here's one. Do you need to manage or upkeep your network to stay in touch with those that are in your network over time? You know, what is the expectation that way?
Yes, I have over 24,000 connections, right? I do what I call my 15 minutes a day in LinkedIn. I plan my content over the weekend and I push it through LinkedIn on the weekend. I schedule it. But I do, yes, I maintain my network. I spend at least 15 minutes. I think there's ways to create frameworks where you don't have to spend a lot of time and get really distracted by LinkedIn as well, because you can get distracted as well. So yes, I nurture that. I look at my metrics, how people react to the content. So that way I get a feeling that, okay, this is not content that is addressing the people that I want to address. I need to change, I need to revise it. So I spend 15 minutes connecting with people. I spend a couple hours during the weekend. So yes, it's a network that you want to really nurture it, right? So it's good to be active on it. I also comment on other individuals' posts as well. I think that's a key component as well. I endorse people that are in my network as well. I write recommendations to it. So there's that maintenance that you need to do in order to grow your LinkedIn profile. So
Okay, that is really great advice. And it kind of goes back to focusing on the quality of your connections, because if you're writing content that's going to relate to them, I mean, it should relate to what you do and also what's of interest to that network that you're cultivating. And this kind of leads us to the next question, which is, when you have a profile up, you may get lots of, solicitations for people to connect with people, and maybe people that you don't even know. So the question is, should you connect with all those people, or how do you manage that?
it's a great question. And the reason why I'm smiling, because I get a lot of those. So a couple of things. I know there's a lot of spammers and people doing all these things trying to connect on social media. So number one, you can see that it's a spammer because they have a network less than 200 people, 113 people. Their picture is very Photoshop. So you're like, okay, and the positions don't really match. You got to stay away from those people. I filter the connections with their profiles. So when I see their profiles and I see, hey, they want to connect with me, I know they're trying to sell me something. So they're looking for me to connect so they can sell me something. So I usually reply back to them. When they say, hey, Javier, I noticed your LinkedIn profile. You're amazing. I want to connect with you. And I say, all right, what do you think we can do together? What do you think is a good connection here? What do you see the value in having this connection together? That will push people away because they know straight up that I'm not here to buy the services. So that's something to do that. I connect with other people as well, but I'm very, very honest, say, hey, I want to connect with you because I am also a facilitator and I want to be connected with other facilitators. I do develop content once in a while. Perhaps you can benefit. And what I do when they connect, I send a video, I say, hey, I just want to put a face to my LinkedIn profile. Great to connect with you. By all means, I'm not here to sell you anything. So I'm very honest. I think honesty as well when you're trying to connect. What is your purpose that? But filtering, going back to your question, pay attention to their profile. And if their profile has nothing to do with your objective, don't connect with it.
Great advice. Great advice. Here's one more. What should I build first, my personal account or my business account?
Yeah, so I think that question is, I know on LinkedIn you can build your business, right? Your business LinkedIn profile, and then
Yeah.
there's your personal. I will start with the personal because you need the personal first. Once you have the personal, you connect to your business that you have, right? And there's different strategies on how to create your business and your personal, but I will start with the personal profile first.
Great. So here's another question for you. So many students, Gen Z particularly, we hear this a lot, want to create positive change in the world as a person of influence in the areas that they care about. So what is the best way for them to use LinkedIn to elevate themselves and to be a person of influence so that they can create the change that they're envisioning?
Absolutely. And that's a great question. And I think LinkedIn now, I mean, and LinkedIn, I just want to say this, LinkedIn is one of the oldest social media platforms out there, believe it or not. So it's one of the oldest. But right now, LinkedIn gives you the ability to be a content creator. There's a feature where you can become a content creator. And it gives you the ability to do LinkedIn Live on video as well, and publish enough content out there. I think going out there and elevate your brand, first of all, is connecting, right? We need to constantly connect with people that we know of, or we know they're part of a school, they're part of a past employer. Build your network so you have many connections, because that's your audience, right? And there, think about the content that is going to help your objective when you're going out there. And it can be any other content out there. The other day, out of the blue, I'm looking at this coffee mug and it says, "You're awesome." And I put a post and say, "You're awesome. I believe you're awesome. I think everybody's awesome," right? And I put something personal to me. I put a Bible verse there, right? And I put it out there because I want people to read it and say, "You're awesome." Right? Regardless what you think, regardless how far you think you have done, you're awesome. And that's an idea that I put there, right? So you can think about anything that is going to bring that value to your audience. But number one, connect, build your audience, and then deliver, right? And test it out. Nothing is perfect, but the more you do it, the more excited, the more rhythm, the more content is going to come out, the more ideas. So the first one, hey, maybe it's not what you think, but the second one, the third one, and test it out.
Yeah, that sounds great. A good way to get into it. So if you can believe it, our time is almost up. So in closing, as we take action to implement what we've learned from you here today, what is your top piece of advice to support us in building our networks on LinkedIn?
Do it. I call it Action Jackson. Do it. Don't be afraid. Keep at it. Believe in your objective, believe in your dreams, and utilize LinkedIn. Like I say, it's a digital platform, so you can change it as many times as you like to, and you can see the metrics. So take one step and do it, and take another one, and take a third one. So I think that's my suggestion. I don't remember when I started LinkedIn, but when I started LinkedIn, I started with 0. And now I have 24,000 people. I'm very active. I am even debating to close down my other social media platforms, because LinkedIn is the one that has given me business connections, personal connections. I met great people that I haven't met in person. And I built really good support system as well, because another thing is LinkedIn is there to help you. So there's people that will help you if you ask them to. So just take one step and take the second one and the third one.
Perfect advice, and such the entrepreneurial mindset, right? The action mindset, taking strategic action, avoiding the analysis paralysis, or that there's going to be some perfect time down the road. Just start, take those simple steps, and the next steps, open up. That's such sage advice. And I want to thank you, Javier, for sharing your expertise with us. You've given us information that can really help us understand, how to share our value with others through LinkedIn, how to share our resources, and also find the resources that we need by really building those quality connections, in our networking group. So thank you for that. And to our audience, we hope that this episode supports you in building your LinkedIn network and supports your professional journey, whether that's starting a business, seeking your next job or internship, or transferring to that 4-year. This season, we're all about taking that passion that you have and putting it into action, creating meaningful livelihoods, and using entrepreneurial skills to your benefit. So we invite you to join us here again next week to learn more of the same. And Javier, thank you again. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.